Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Susan Lynn. I'm a psychic medium. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate it. And thanks for all the love on my last video, which was part 1 of this, which will be part 2 of Spirit Guides Answer Your Questions. Now, so I got a lot of feedback. I know that some of you want to mash the political and the personal questions together. I really feel like they need to be separate, so that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to be talking about politics today. Good Lord knows we have a lot to talk about. I want to start off by saying that we've, by now, unless you live under a rock, and if you do, let me join you. If there's room, I would like to be under your rock with you because it's really crazy out there. However, most of us have heard that the former guy, the President 45, has gotten rid of top secret papers by taking them to Mar-a-Lago, to his home in Florida. And also, it seems that evidence suggests that there was papers with written words, typed words on them that were found in the plumbing system of the White House. We also, it is suggested that theoretically or allegedly, you have to be careful here, that papers were found in burn bags and that there were, allegedly he even ate or tried to consume with his mouth some of these papers. And it is funny in a very, well, if you imagine that you live in Switzerland, it's funny. But if you're an American, it's not very funny. But anyway, I want to mention this, which I think is just like I did not put 2 and 2 together. And I was listening to Joy Reid on MSNBC, the Readout. Check it out. It's very good. And she's the one that made the connection of, do you remember when the former guy was talking about how bad American toilets were? And she was lucky enough to be able to actually play the video of him saying, you can't just flush once. You have to flush 10 times and they don't work. Do you remember that? Do you remember when he was saying our toilets are not working? Now, you know, at the time, it was just another list of bizarre things that he would say. We have so many problems in our country. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and he wants to talk about the toilets flushing. Well, now we can go back and listen to the things he said and know that there's truth in them. He's not just the ravings of a lunatic crazy man. These things are happening because apparently, allegedly, he was trying to flush things down the toilet that aren't designed to take. And he was mad about it. So he took to the stage to tell everyone that American toilets aren't good enough. Who knew the standard was that it had to be able to flush top secret information? Maybe the White House should be upgraded. Maybe the toilets in the White House should be upgraded. Jeez Louise. Maybe Kohler or some other company needs to get behind this, right? I'm just, I just had to share that because I'm telling you, when Joy Reid put those 2 things together, I was like, oh my God, I remember him talking about the toilets and how they didn't work. Well, of course they don't work. Ask any 2-year-old what you can put down a toilet. It's not going to work. So anyway, that's how I wanted to start this out. I think I might also talk to you briefly. You can feel me taking a deep breath because there's some stress around this. Maybe about the Ukraine and Putin. I'm with Linda G. About a week ago, I started hearing the words, he's going to invade, 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 invade. I heard it every day. I just didn't talk about it because it's not going to help anybody, right? I try to help you guys. If nothing else, maybe some laughter is helpful, right? But I didn't talk about it because, first of all, I really wanted it to not be true. Second of all, I knew that there was other things at play here that could affect that outcome, okay? So as I'm sitting here today, and today happens to be Sunday, the 13th, as I'm sitting here today and I go into this energy of Putin and his troops, it's chaos. The energy is chaos. It's not, they're not a well-oiled machine the troops are not organized. They're bogged down. I know from the news that some of them are bogged down in mud, some of the tanks, but that was a play on his behalf. He had to decide, you know, if the snow was going to hold, he could roll on through. But once the snow melted, he was going to have some problems. But I just see morale being very low. I don't think the morale of the Russian soldiers, I don't think their hearts and souls are in this. So I think he's having some trouble. I think there's dissension amongst the ranks. I think that Putin's ego is very bruised. He's very upset. He needs to walk away with something, right? He can't just amass 100,000 troops on a border and then just disappear. He has to, it has to look like he won something. And so in the diplomacy, I think that's what's trying to happen, is give him something that looks like he's won something. The problem is that he said publicly what he wants to win is a reduction in NATO, or NATO to not be involved in any of the countries that surround his borders. Okay, so that's what he wants, but that's not possible. That's just that's not negotiable, apparently. So that, with the added collaboration of all of the NATO countries, the NATO countries have banded together and come together under Biden and are solid, much more resolute than Russia's soldiers. Now, I still think he's going to invade. I don't think it's going to be, I think I said this last time, right? I see him crossing the border, skirmishes. I hear skirmishes. I do see violence, and I do see some death, sadly, but I don't see him winning. I don't see this being a win. He currently occupies, or his allies, there's insurgents, it's not technically him. I don't think that's insurgents that align with him, are occupying some portion of eastern Ukraine already, okay? I feel like he wants to take a city. I feel like he wants to just take another city. He would be happy with taking a city. He's been surprised at the collaboration, at how the countries all come together. That has surprised him. The fortitude has surprised him. He didn't see that coming. He didn't expect that. So I do think that he might do something, but I don't see, at this time, I don't see him invading all of Ukraine. Okay, I don't see that. Because NATO is gonna get involved, okay, with air power, and that, and you know, when you have troops versus air power, who's gonna win, right? And then that becomes a point of escalation. That, does he want to cross that line? Right? Does he want to cross that line? I don't think he does. I think he just needs an out. You know, you need to give the bully something that make him look like he's won. And I know that Biden is working on that. So that's what, hopefully that makes sense. Okay. The other thing I wanted to talk about really quickly is the Super Bowl, which is today. I don't think the things that have been planned are going to be successful. I do think things were being planned, and I do think that some things actually were planned, but I don't see them being successful on the scale that they wanted. They would be lucky if they get off one little thing, one small event. They had wanted it to be much bigger. Including the truckers, but that didn't happen. It's just not going to happen. It's not. You know, one thing you could say is Biden may be dragging his feet and Garland may be dragging their feet, and you can say that. But one thing you can't say is that they've been lackadaisical or lazy in addressing current and future threats. They have been absolutely targeting these people and any future threats. They have been targeting them. So any kind of organized group has been thwarted and thwarted this entire year. So that is one area that I think the FBI, the CIA, the various agencies have been very successcill. Okay, they've been very successful. Now going forward, I do see some pockets of resistance or violence. Okay, I see that's likely to happen. I can't guarantee 100% because we all have free will, right? And really and truly, Biden and the agencies are doing a very good job at this. So I just wanted to address that because people have been asking me. Let's move on to your questions. I think, sorry, I'm going to have to scroll through the questions because they're not organized. And I'll do this differently in the future. I will ask for political questions separately from personal questions so that it just rolls through a much quicker. Malka Z, thank you for your question. Ask, will democracy survive until 2030? Will people in government be held accountable for their criminal activity? And is there anything that can be done? And her question got cut off, or his question got cut off. Yes, democracy is going to survive. I think that what we're going to be seeing is democracy in action, to be honest with you, because democracy is malleable and flexible. And the whole point of democracy is to hear other viewpoints and to allow protest, and to, in some way, if the will of the people is behind it, then to, bring those whatever that thing is, that message, that idea, to bring it into our democracy, right? The problem here is that the majority of Americans and the majority of Canadians do not agree with these people. Okay, so something that we need to remind ourselves is that despite the fact that maybe that Biden's numbers are low, that doesn't indicate that people are for Trump either. So something my guides gave an idea to my local Democrat group is that if they would just have a fundraiser that said, come put $5 in a bucket because you don't like Trump, they would make a busload of money. Who wouldn't go put $5 in a bucket just to say, F Trump, right? Why don't we do that? Why don't we stand up and do that? Like literally, I could see, they're showing me so many things, like somebody dressed as Trump in a dunking booth. I'd pay $25 a throw, So yes, I think democracy is going to survive, but I do think it's going to be tested, and that's the point of democracy. Democracy is not a totalitarian or an authoritarian regime. It's malleable and flexible, and that means people get to test it. We are going to be tested, and I got to tell you that we're going to be going through some things. We're going to be going through some things. They are going to arrest these people. They are going to arrest the Roger Stones and the Jordans, and a lot of them are going to be arrested. If not, for sure, see their day in court. Okay? And when that happens, that's when things are really going to get dicey. Okay? That's when things are going to get dicey, because these people, this very small minority that happens to be overly armed, is going to make their presence known. And that's when we're going to have problems. That's when democracy is going to seem like it's threatened. But that is when democracy is going to shine, theoretically, because we're going to stand up and say, no, you're not going to do that. And I am encouraged, truly, by the fact that these yahoos have been trying to do these attacks all year and haven't been able to do it. So I think they're really on top of them. And as the guides mentioned in the previous video, one of the things that Biden is doing and the DOJ is doing is trying to arrest and neutralize, is the word they're using, these people that are in charge of these groups and or involved in these groups, so that when they go after these other people like Trump and his cronies, those people will be neutralized. They won't be able to go out and start, you know, an insurrection or some sort of thing. Okay. So I know that it looks dicey, and I have moments when I'm not channeling that I'm really upset. Honestly, yesterday I was really upset. So we just have to hold the line. They're saying hold the line. Yes, Biden could be more responsive. Yes, Garland could be more responsive. That goes without challenging. That's for sure. But democracy is going to survive. We will get through this. We just have to get through it. Okay. Michael Smith says, will Washington, D.C. and Puerto Rico ever get statehood? 2 questions. Okay, that's the first question. I know that there's constitutional thinking about why Washington, D.C. should not be a state. I know that there was reasoning behind that when the country was formed. I honestly feel like D.C. at some point will be absorbed by Virginia. I don't think D.C. can continue in this way. They may draw a line around the Capitol and Congress, whatnot, and say, even within Virginia, and say this little, you know, like they do for empowerment zones or tax-free zones, right? They draw a little line and they say, this little area doesn't have to prescribe to the state's rules. This little area has been excised, right? I feel like it will be absorbed by Virginia, and it will be excised so that whatever constitutional things that pertain to that will still be protected or enacted or stayed the same. Puerto Rico, some Puerto Ricans don't want to be a state. It's actually divided within the country a little bit. And I know I have some Puerto Rican viewers. You guys can please chime in, because I was in Puerto Rico. I have a friend that's Puerto Rican, and the thing she told me is don't talk about it. She said don't even talk about it, because Puerto Ricans are extremely proud of their culture, their state, their I don't know what to call it, but they're proud of who they are, and they're somewhat independent, right? So they're sort of stuck in a damned if they do and damned if they don't situation. And to be honest with you, no president has ever paid any attention to them. The country's never paid attention to them. They've never gotten anything. And I think that they think if we become a state, we're still not going to get anything. Now, having said that, I've been kind of vibing with the Puerto Rican side. Now, when I go to the United States side, I feel like there's energy within the Democratic Party to bring Puerto Rico in. But I do believe Puerto Rico gets to vote on that. So it's going to be interesting. I think part of the problem is Puerto Rico it's not an overwhelming yes that they want to be a state. There's still some working out of that within that place. So, and the second question was, will we ever elect a president by national popular vote? Yeah, I mean, I hear yes. I hear yes. Are you meaning that without the, see, when I'm connected, I can't think of words. I'm sorry. I hope that doesn't drive you guys as crazy as it drives me. But anyway, yes, I'm hearing the word yes. Major voting reform, but maybe not until 2028 or even later. We have to go through some things. The guides are saying to me, maybe this makes sense to you guys. Humans get to choose. We're in power here, and we're empowered to choose what we want. Do we want free health care? Then we need to get out there and make it happen. We can have peaceful protests. We can march. We can organize. We can organize ourselves to write whoever they are. Believe me, if a congressman or a senator gets 20 written letters, it's a big deal. We don't use our right. We're so busy working. We're so busy surviving. And that's how they've kept us down. So they want to tell us that when humans choose, we're gonna be able to choose. So when this stuff breaks out, when these hooligans get out there and create strife and mischief like they have on the bridge between Canada and the United States, we get to choose. Canadians did not support that. Canadians didn't support that, and Canadian truckers didn't support that. Nobody supported it, and we need to stand up and not let these bullies that represent a very small percentage take control of the majority, because they're not the majority. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. I don't know. Okay. I don't know why some of these questions are cut off. It's that YouTube has literally cut the questions off. Like now they're limiting your words or something. Rural community to offer Sunday voting and coordinate group voting. So Nancy wants to know, I was listening to a local show about politics here in Georgia. There's a proposed program that will ask rural county governments to offer Sunday voting and coordinate group voting after services. I don't know what her question is because it's gone, and I don't know why it's gone. Let me see if I hit reply. Nope, it doesn't give me the question. If you're asking if that's going to go through, I think, could it be county? Could it go by county? I feel like it's going, they're showing me yes and no. So I think that means maybe some parts of the state will allow it and other parts won't. So let's see if I can find you guys some more political questions here. Fed Girl says, with school issues like burning books and not being able to say gay, and now I just saw where in Arizona, a school district that offers a culinary or like a cooking, program had to change the word chicken breast. Chicken breast was not allowed to be said in the school. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I'll tell you, I copied that and posted that on my personal social media because we need to call these people out. I'm tired of being quiet. I've been quiet for 6 months. I'm tired of being quiet. These people are running their mouths. They've got the narrative. They're telling their story, and no one is telling the opposite story, including the media. So I feel like we need to share things like that just to say, this is ridiculous. This shouldn't happen in a school district, okay? So anyway, Fed Girl says, is Jill Biden giving Joe any advice on how to handle this? Meaning the burning of the books, the banning of the books, the school issues that we're talking about here. And will she go to any states herself? Will she go to any states to talk about it herself in order to say how it is unacceptable? Well, how interesting, Fed Girl. What a great question. Are you not wondering where is our president and where is his wife and where is our vice president? I mean, no one's going out. You don't see Jill Biden doing anything. I mean, she doesn't seem to have, a directive or a thing that she's doing that I hear about besides they got a cat. I don't hear anything about our vice president. I swear to God, I almost, honestly, when I go into that energy, it feels like they're hostage in the White House. I mean, I honestly feel like that. I feel like they're so worried for the safety of those 3 people that they just don't get out and as much as they would have. Now, usually vice presidents don't have a whole, game on their own, right? But certainly the First Lady has more exposure. I feel like, on top of the safety, I feel like they're so worried that everything that they do in the media gets turned around and used against them that they've decided to withdraw, which is the wrong thing to do. We need to see normalcy. We need to see Jill Biden out there doing whatever it is that she wants to do as a First Lady, right? So the question is, will she go into the schools? Will she make this her directive? And I'm flummoxed. I mean, when I go into the energy, I just hear them saying it's too hot. It's too hot. It's a hot button. Leave it alone. My God, it's not going to go away. That's the problem. This is the whole problem with our administration right now. It's not going to go away. It's been a year. And these people are taking the silence from our leadership as carte blanche to just do whatever they want to do. So it's a problem. It's a real problem. And again, I said, the guide said that Biden wasn't going to do anything. He's going to keep the lid on the pot. Remember, the pot's boiling up. It's boiling over. He's holding the lid on the pot, trying to keep everything calm. And I know there's a lot of positives to that, but also the guide said that he wasn't going to be able to keep the lid on the pot because outside forces were going to expose what was in the pot. And this is what we have with Maggie Haberman's book. And she's the one that's breaking all of the, the former guy eating papers and flushing papers and papers being in Mar-a-Lago. All of these people have written books that have basically all the things we need to arrest or at least charge these people. So it's coming out in the public before it's coming out through the DOJ. That's exactly what the guides said months ago. He's going to keep the lid on the pot, but it doesn't matter because the stuff is going to be brought out by investigative journalists and other people separately from him. And that is what's going to force him to act. They said that months ago, and it's happening right here in front of us in real time. And he will have to act. He will. You've seen him now step outside of the White House. Just recently, he went out for like a burger or something. First time. I think it took 8 months for him to go outside of the White House to actually interact with people, the way maybe Obama did. And if anybody had any reason to be scared, it was Obama. So I don't see Jill. I don't. I feel like this summer is going to be dicey, you guys. It's just going to be dicey. And I know that, look, let's think about it like this. If our president has access to all the intel in the world and knows so much more than us, and he's afraid to leave the White House, I think that's pretty telling, don't you? So I think that what they're going to do is wait for it to normalize some. I honestly feel like they're waiting. The answer is they're waiting. And I don't think they have the luxury to wait, and I don't think they're going to be allowed to wait. So I don't think Jill's going to be able to wait. I think she's going to have to do something. So, yeah, that's what's happening there. And I'm not seeing any other political. I know there's more. And another thing YouTube does is it mixes the it mixes the questions up, not in, you would think it would follow, like if I posted a question today, it would be more higher up in the comments than somebody who posted a question 3 days ago. But that's not what happens. Robin wants to know, when will Trump be out of the political media? He's not going to be out of the political media until he's not making money. Listen, he pushes the button and money flows in. Do you know how much money flowed into those Canadian truckers from the United States? The people that support Trump are older. They've got disposable income. Republicans always have more money than Democrats. When I went to my local Democrat group yesterday and said, look, how do we get more voters? How do we get the word out? They said the candidates can't even afford to buy their own signs, their own yard signs. The candidates can't even afford to buy their own yard signs. So, meanwhile, the Republicans are giving away yard signs and a t-shirt to boot, right? So they have more money. They just have more money than we do. That's the bottom line, and that's been the case for many, many, many years. So he's not going to be out of the political media until the money runs out or until he's in jail. And even then, he's going to be, in the media because he's going to be in jail. So that's kind of what's happening there. I know I have 97 comments and it's not showing me all my comments. So maybe I'll just end this video here because I know I have 97 comments. Oh, here's one. I do want to answer this. Here's 2 questions for you. Cindy P. Hey girl, thanks for the question. Hope you're doing okay. E. Jean Carroll. Do you guys remember who E. Jean Carroll is? She's the woman who accused Trump of sexually molesting her in a dressing room, in a building near his, maybe it was in Trump Tower or near Trump Tower. It was a boutique. But E. Jean Carroll kept the dress with the DNA on it. Smart lady, right? Smart lady. God bless her. She's been trying to get this. She's been trying to get this case handled for I don't even know how many decades, honestly. But I want to answer this because the guides back almost a year ago started telling me about her, and I didn't know who she was. And they said that she is going to really do him damage, that she's really going to be one of the ones to bring him down, okay? She really is. She's going to be one of the ones that bring him down. If you remember, maybe you didn't watch this part of the video, the guide said, imagine 100 archers with their bows and their arrows drawn. And then here's the former guy. And you have 100 arrows flying at him. 5 are going to hit him, and maybe 3 will take him out. Okay? So we need the 100. This is another reason that Garland understands, I think. We can't just have one case. We can't have 3 cases. This man gets out of 3 cases. He's had 20 cases against him. None of them have ever stuck, including E. Jean Carroll's case. So we need 100 cases against him just to get 3. So that's the problem here. That's one of the reasons why they're taking so long to get the information, to get the evidence. So yes, E. Jean Carroll will for sure be one of the ones that takes him down. The second part of the question was, will this be the nail that causes the evangelicals to abandon him? No, they've already got, cognitive dissonance. They're already in the cult. I know evangelicals, personally know evangelicals who are making excuses for him right now. Okay? They made excuses for him when he said publicly, grab women by the pee, right? I mean, that was before he was president. They made excuses for him. They're never going to leave him. It's not, okay, I'm going to say it again. I say it a lot of times, and I truly mean it, and this is why I'm saying it. It's about race, okay? It's not about Christianity. It's not about God. It's not about the Bible. It's about race. That's what that is. Okay, so the next question was, yes, okay, dishes and stitches. Love it, dishes and stitches. Will the Democrats remember what happened in the 2000 election where about 2.8 million people voted for Ralph Nader? I mean, maybe they thought they were sending some kind of message. And again, it cut off your question, and I don't know why, if a big chunk of these voters vote differently. No, really and truly, the Republicans are about to learn that lesson, because right now in Texas, we have this wonderful Governor Abbott, who's being challenged by this guy West, I think is his name, who is far more to the right. So the Republicans are fighting themselves, that the Republicans have always bested us because of the money and the fact that they all stay in line. They all march step together. Democrats are like cats. One's going over here, one's going over there, one's on top of the refrigerator. You know, we're not even in the same room, right? So it's very hard for us to get ourselves together and go in one direction. That has always been something the Republicans have been able to do. And now it's not happening for them. Now they're splintering. Their party is splintering. I feel like the Democrats got behind Biden, and we know that there really wasn't a mandate within the Democrats for Biden. So I don't know. I feel like the Democrats are doing a little better job about that. One more question. I'll just do one more question. MS Pioneer Girl, and I know your all's names, or sometimes I know your names, but not when I'm connected to Spirit. Why isn't the DOJ announcing that they are looking into the federal law broken by 45, haven't taken those documents? Okay, and she says, why is Congress? So I do want to say, it's interesting when I'm connected to Spirit. Number one, I'm a lot calmer. And number two, I can really see both sides. That's so funny. Oh my God. Because when I'm not connected to Spirit, I'm spitting nails, as they say down here in Texas. All right. So what they're saying is, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this, but some of the warrants that they issued to Bannon and others were sort of secretive warrants. For instance, they were able to get phone records without letting those people know they were getting their phone records. Now that's pretty serious, because in the United States, that's a big deal to get your phone records without letting you know that they're accessing their, without being served a warrant, without your knowledge. So a lot of this is happening behind the scenes. Okay. So what they're telling me is there's a reason that they got those phone records without letting that person know. Also, they're saying that Garland has run this operation without a leak. There has not been one leak out of Garland's office. Not one. I mean, it's as tight as a submarine. And there's a reason for these things. He needs to, the net, this is a vision I had last night when I was sleeping. They had told me at one time, like, imagine a net laying on the ocean floor, and then, all of these cronies, who I'm talking about, swimming over the net, and they think the government is lackadaisical and lazy and stupid and not doing anything, so they're comfortably hanging over the net, and then all of a sudden the net closes. Okay, so they don't want to tip their hat. They don't want anybody to know what is happening. That's what they're telling me right now. Not even Nancy Pelosi can know what is happening, because I know Nancy Pelosi has said, we're sending all this stuff to the DOJ. They could investigate it. I've heard her say that. I don't even think she knows. I think this is so tight that nobody knows, because it involves some people in the NSA, National Security Administration. It involves some people that would be in the FBI. It involves lawmakers. It involves judges. I think it's shock and awe when the trap closes. It's going to have people that, if they had been tipped off, would take actions to evade, would take actions to maybe flush some papers, right? So I do think that that's what's going on. Now, I still agree that it's taken too long, that at some point you have to spring the trap. So the thing they showed me last night as I was waking up, they used the same analogy. So here's the net, right? It's on the bottom of the sea floor. And when they sprung the trap and the net closed, they couldn't lift the net. It was too heavy. It was too heavy. They couldn't lift it out of the water. And again, they showed me this picture because I love photography and I love wildlife. Have you guys ever seen a picture or a video of an eagle catching a fish that's too big? You know, they come into the water, they use their talons and they grab the fish just at the surface or just under the surface of the water. And then they lift the fish up and fly off. But sometimes they underestimate the size of the fish and they grab the fish and the eagle goes into the water. And sometimes the eagle can drown if it can't get enough lift to lift this fish up, right? How apropos, the eagle, the United States, the fish, too big to lift up, right? They have too much information and it's weighing them down and they can't lift it up. Every time we turn around, more data is found, more evidence is found, right? Think about it. You're trying to do your job and you've got a backlog over here, and then every time you look out your window, there's a truck pulled up with more stuff to do. So I think they need to spring the trap. I think they just need to, cut bait and fish or whatever you want to use. And I'll say this before I end this. I'll try to say that the month that's coming to me right now is May, and it came to me also last night, which I wasn't thrilled about because I'd rather, of course, it be March or April. But May is what came to me. May. It might be Memorial Day. So it's going to happen. The thing that you need to understand is it's going to happen. I know it's going to happen. I have no doubt that it's going to happen. I just think that the longer we wait, we miss the opportunity to to prove to Americans that there's justice, to prove to the world that Americans mean business and we are about justice. And I feel like right now when I go into that energy that Biden is going to Garland and saying, you have to stop. We have to just move forward. And Garland is like, no, look at all that evidence. Look at all that evidence. What if we go forward and they get off? And yet we had the evidence to put them down. We had it. We just didn't have it processed and ready to make charges with it, right? So also, I'm honestly not 100% sure that Garland is the right person. You guys are probably laughing. You might be even spitting out whatever you're drinking, like, of course he's not the right person. But I mean, he is a Federalist Society member and he was a Republican and he's an institutionalist, just like Biden. We don't want to wreck the place, Let's it's basically like we need to set a bomb off, but we don't want it to damage anything. Well, I'm sorry, but a bomb is going to damage. This is going to be a big deal. This is going to change America forever. This is going to make us change our laws. This may make us add amendments to the Constitution. It's going to change things, period. Again, with his hand on the pot, it's okay, it's okay. Now, on the good side, I do want to say that I just read, and I will put it up here so that the data and the facts are correct. But I just read that that the United States, we're banking. The money is flowing in at a bigger rate than ever since 1977. The money is flowing in at a bigger rate than 1977. So something is going right. I mean, lots of things are going right. And that's where I wish Biden would get out and say that. Or maybe, you know, Kamala needs to go out and say it. I don't know. But hang on to your hats. Take care of yourselves. That's the most important thing, right? It doesn't matter if we save democracy if everybody is sick or everybody's unhealthy or everybody's depressed. It's not going to matter one whit if we save democracy if we're not here to enjoy it. So we have to take care of ourselves, okay? Take care, do good work, be well, and I will catch you again right here on this channel. Stay tuned. Who knows what's going to happen next. Take care, everybody. For entertainment purposes only.